Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio. I mean, this perch thing, we crushed at Lake of the Woods. Obviously, Mille Lacs had some.
I'm only happy when I'm miserable.
Makes me decide I should just go fishing in the spring.
I guess my point in all this is like the spring conservation season was meant just to drop those numbers. And
Dan, if you're eating a McRib and you see the little feet sticking out, you might want to read it.
Broadcasting on the Sporting Journal Radio Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or watch on YouTube.
Fish on right now.
Well, we're here at the 2024 Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. And our guest now is Jeremy Smith. I fish, I hunt, and always will.
It's just to look out for your everyday hunter, angler, and trapper that's out there.
A Fish Hunt Forever production. This is Sporting Journal Radio. That's right. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Dan, that's Dan Evanson. What's up, Dan?
Hey, yeah, that is me. What's going on? Oh, I'm holding a Mountain Dew.
We have you're drinking did you finish your other drink already?
What do you mean, my other drink?
Thirsty. Anyway, we have a special guest on the show this week.
Who's that?
It's a surprise, ladies and gentlemen. A very special guest. He's sitting in that chair over there. Ladies and gentlemen, David Eckhart.
Oh, hello.
Joining us on the show. I feel like it's been forever.
It has been a while.
The only other time I've gotten to use that button is when you also took a large absence from the show in the fall. So, from all of us here at Me TV.
Welcome back.
Me TV. You're feeling better, David.
I am feeling better.
You were a little under the weather.
I was sick.
How long?
Skipped our fishing tournament.
Yeah, I couldn't even go to that. So you knew I was sick if I skipped a fishing
That is kind of
trip.
like David's show. And he wasn't there, and it was weird.
Yeah.
Because last time you were sick and didn't skip the tournament.
Yeah, you got us all COVID.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Who knows?
Can't confirm
Who's
either
to say?
deny, but you did anyways.
Welcome back, David. Maintain 6 foot distance, please.
I'm good now.
All right. A lot to get to this week. We're going to talk about a SnoBear tournament that took place up at the Northwest Angle. We'll get you a fishing report from Lake of the Woods. We got our own fishing tournament coming up on the Rainy River. Are you going to make it to that one this year?
I am.
Holy crap.
Planning on making that one.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Vacations planned
Amazing.
that interfere.
We're going to talk about perch fishing right now because that seems like that's been the hot topic in Minnesota, is perching. And how it's going.
Perchin', is that what the kids say? Perchin'?
Perchin'.
Go perching.
Perching.
Gonna put some Fetty Wap on the JBL and go perchin'? Or if it's you, it's probably a turtle box.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, this week on the show, we're going to debut the Fundra 2.0. Hell yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited about it. I'm the only one.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Well, it's in the driveway.
I saw it in passing.
Yeah.
I met you on the road.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, hey, there's another Toyota driver coming at me. And then the guy waves at me. I'm like, he's waving like David. That is David.
Forrest Gump drives us to Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we'll get to all that and more. But first, Dan, who are the sponsors this week on the show?
Inver Grove Toyota is still the official truck sponsor of Fish Hunt Forever. When looking for your new truck, head to Inver Grove Toyota. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan a Lake of the Woods ice fishing trip at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. OnX Hunt. See private land boundaries, offline maps, and Minnesota-specific hunt layers. That's a hard word. Download the OnX Hunt app today. Tasman Lake Lodge. Catch world record lake trout and giant pike at Saskatchewan's Tasman Lake this summer. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. The St. Cloud Sportsman Show is this weekend at the River's Edge Convention Center. Learn more at stcloudsportshow.com. Prairie Sportsman, we are 2 weeks away from the new season starting. Get caught up on previous shows, though, anytime. The Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort. Fish out of a SnoBear on Devil's Lake. Learn more at haybellheights.com. The Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic is back March 14th through the 16th at Canterbury Park in Shakopee. Learn more at mndeerclassic.com. And Guardian Eagle Resort. Plan a trip for this summer, to the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. Fly directly from the Twin Cities. Learn more at guardianeagle.com. And the show is now over. We are out of time.
Hey, that's good. That means
that's a great thing.
That means things are going well.
It means we get to do the show next week.
Yeah, we should mention we're going to give away a trip for two to Guardian Eagle Resort too. So if you want to catch a pile of walleyes and fly direct from Minneapolis to their Ontario lodge, keep listening
or
for
Chicago,
more details.
I suppose.
Yeah, you can fly to Chicago. They actually do it out of Milwaukee too.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Cool.
Yep, I talked to them at the All Canada show last weekend in Chicago, and I was talking to them a little bit about it. And there was I was there for another lodge course, and somebody came by, and he was wearing a Guardian Eagle shirt. I'm like, oh, yeah, those are good people over there. And he goes, yeah, I fly right from Milwaukee and land right at their place. I got a bad leg, and I don't travel well, and I can't go very far in a vehicle, but I can just literally go to the airport 15 minutes from my house, hop on a plane, and be there in a couple hours. So it's a heck of a deal.
It's so nice. I know I've said it before, but when we left from there on a Sunday morning, we were back in time. We left at 9 a.m. Sunday, and we were back to have lunch with our family after they got back from church. So just unheard of for a Canadian fishing trip to be back by noon on Sunday, and you can go back to work on Monday.
It's so funny, I talked to a lot of lodges in Canada, obviously Tasman, and it's so remote. That plane trip is the biggest cost with that lodge, and it's the travel is a long time. We drive up, it's 24-hour drive, and then another hour and a half in the float plane, and which is awesome. And that's what makes the fishing so good, and it's beautiful, and I love the remoteness of it. But you talk to all these other places, like, yeah, God dang, Guardian Eagle. You got that runway, 3,200-foot concrete runway right at the lodge. Man, that'd be so nice to have.
Yeah.
It makes life so much easier. It makes travel for the guests so much easier, too. So
Yeah, the convenience of it would be super nice.
My gosh, it's so much fun. So we're going to go up. I started talking to Twyla about some dates for making a trip. So when you win this giveaway from us, you're going to get to come up with us and probably be in a video for Fish Hunt Forever.
So you better be cool.
That's right. See our video from last year on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel, or go to guardianeagle.com for more details about booking a trip to Guardian Eagle Resort in Ontario. It's pretty neat. And Claire and Twyla, the owners, are awesome. Food is really good. The lake is beautiful, and I was showing some people pictures of their shore lunch spots too, and it's like we're stealing a few ideas from their shore lunch spots.
The food's so good. The shore lunch. I mean, just the shore lunch I'm talking about. All the food's great, but just the shore lunch. I mean, we had ceviche on an island in the middle of Canada.
Claire came up to me and he goes, "Hey, so how many people have you stolen our food recipes and given, or how many people have asked for our food recipes that you've given them all the details to?" I said, "Hey, what happens at Guardian Eagle stays at Guardian Eagle."
You don't even know the steak recipe. He swore me to secrecy on that.
Right.
And I hope he knows that.
I think that's the one he was referring to. He was wondering if we'd stolen that and given it to anybody yet. So
that's a dang good beer, I can tell you that.
I said, "Well, you're giving away a little hint."
Well, we just drank beer.
Oh.
Cooked steaks. Anyways.
Hey, let's do some quick headlines, Dan, if you got it ready to go.
Oh, okay.
All right, so.
Headlines.
That's right. Headlines are brought to you by Invergrove Toyota. We can help save you some money on a new Tundra, Tacoma, or whatever at Invergrove Toyota. 4Runner, you bet.
RAV4.
Right now they have dealer discounts and customer cash on select Tundras at Invergrove Toyota. That'll looking at some of these discounts, you're talking like $5,000 plus off. Wow. Excuse me, on some of these vehicles. So they got some great deals on new 2025 Toyota Tundras at Invergrove Toyota, 494 in Robert Street in Invergrove Heights, Minnesota. Well, there's a new action plan for ducks and pheasants in Minnesota. Area wildlife managers across Minnesota will begin planning and implementing updated strategic conservation efforts designed to foster stewardship of ducks, pheasants, and their habitats. Their habitats?
Habitats.
Yeah, that's a word. New part of the plan.
Nailed it.
Dave Traba,
nerd, bro,
who we know pretty well, is talking about some of this. And key objectives outlined in the plans include acquiring additional habitat by maintaining the current pace of wildlife management area acquisitions overall, while increasing the proportion within priority areas identified for pheasants and ducks. So they're going to keep acquiring habitat at its current pace like they do to make WMAs, but they're going to do it in areas that make sense. So where there are a lot of ducks or pheasants and a lot of habitat for ducks and pheasants. They're going to improve access to private land for outdoor recreation by increasing acres enrolled in the walk-in program, which I'm a big fan of. I think that's the future because you don't want to discourage private land ownership, but sometimes that's where the best habitat is. And, some people out there want to have a balance between public and land ownership, which I understand. But if you can get access to some of that private land, it's a win-win for everybody. Win-win, Dan. You get access to some quality habitat, and the private land ownership remains. So the key is funding and making it make sense financially for the landowner. So they're going to keep working on the walk-in access program, similar to plots in North Dakota or some of the walk-in stuff that you see in South Dakota. I think Kansas and Nebraska have similar programs. So to me, that's the way of the future.
Excuse you.
You can also increase the quality and quantity of duck and pheasant habitat through restoration and enhancement on state-administered land and managed shallow lakes, supporting the work of partners to protect, restore, and enhance duck and pheasant habitat throughout Minnesota, and refining research and monitoring priorities. So they're just going to continue what's worked and keep making those efforts.
I didn't hear anything about an old record player getting broke out to bring some of the refuges. Should ask Dave about that.
Yeah, that is kind of hilarious. And Dan is referring to what they did back in the 70s.
Long time ago. Well, record days.
Yeah, at Lac Parle.
Yeah,
they clipped some wings on some geese, put them on the refuge, and then played essentially an old e-collar. At that time, as a record player. And if you go to the refuge office at Lac Parle, you can still see that record, or I think that record and the record player are sitting in the office there on display. It worked.
We should get that back out. or a JBL or turtle box put down there. Imagine that if you put a turtle box down there, Bret.
There are a lot of people starting to chirp a little bit about geese in Minnesota. And if you remember, Dan, 10 years ago, I think the resident population was around 250 to 300,000 Canada geese in Minnesota. And I haven't looked it up lately, but I've been seeing posts on Facebook about it. And apparently the numbers are like 100 to 150.
Well, I mean, we were hunting them in August
and
in
that's
parts
why.
of the state. And now we're, we increased the bag limit. But yeah, and granted, I didn't hunt them very hard. I know, David, you and I actually just talked about this yesterday. I didn't hunt Canada geese in Minnesota very hard, but I didn't kill one in Minnesota at all. Yeah. Period. I shot 0 Canada geese in Minnesota, but we kind of got our waterfowling fix in Canada, so I started deer hunting when we got back. I know, David, you had the same. You kind of did the same thing.
I think I could count on both hands the amount of times I duck and goose hunted in Minnesota this year.
It was tough. I mean, and I think a big part of it is the geese and mallards specifically are waiting so long to come south.
Right.
And then they go where the water is. So when we got real dry, like we did the last 2 falls in western Minnesota, if the Dakotas have more water, they're coming down in eastern Dakotas.
Yeah. Where earlier we actually saw the exact opposite. Remember that? We were so wet this spring and summer, and Canada, parts of Canada were dry, parts of the Dakotas were dry, and apparently people in the Dakotas hate when we lump both those states together. You ever heard that? South Dakota hates North Dakota hates South Dakota, so they really don't like it when we refer to them as the Dakotas.
I like them both.
Sorry about it. Yeah. Too bad.
The 2 states west of us.
2 states also with blue license plates. Both their license plates, I think, are more blue than ours. So quit with the blue plate crap.
Yeah, maybe.
South Dakota has red, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of blue in that sky above Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
In North Dakota, the whole sky's blue, and then you got one tiny little bison on there, or 2 bison maybe.
They're bison if you're from Fargo.
It's not bison.
Yeah, everywhere else.
Get that right.
All right, we got a break, but we got a Lake of the Woods fishing report coming up. We're also going to talk a little bit more about things. Hang on, let me look and see.
What a great tease. Stick around. We're going to talk about things
and stuff.
If in case you're wondering.
We're going to talk about a sort of update on the RABC situation. We'll tell you what we've seen. And also, we've had some experiences with perch fishing. What's going on in Minnesota? Perch fishing seems like it can be really, really good right now this year. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back on Sporting Journal Radio.
The great outdoors awaits you at the St. Cloud Sportsman Show, February 7th through the 9th at River's Edge Convention Center. See the latest in fishing boats, docks, campers, and RVs. With resorts on hand, you can book your next adventure right at the show. Get fishing tips with seminars from Tom Wynn and Ted Takasaki. Plus, there's live trout fishing and the Wildlife Adventure Center. It's the St. Cloud Sportsman Show, February 7th through the 9th at River's Edge Convention Center. Show information at stcloudsportshow.com.
We're back, Sporting Journal Radio. Thanks for tuning in on the network by demand or watching this on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever. Thank you. This segment is brought to you by Tasman Lake Lodge, Trophy Lake Trout, Northern Pike, in Northwest Saskatchewan. New season starting up June 14th. There are still some openings to go up and catch the biggest fish of your life, most likely. Some huge lakers and northern pike. Find out more at TazanLake.com. I think we're going to be up there probably the first part of July, Dan. So
all right,
you can come up,
mark my calendar,
and join us for some filming of Tazan TV in July up in Northwest Saskatchewan. So much fun. I love it. No perch up there. We did bring Trevor Montgomery down from Tazan one year. He always wanted to go fish Devil's Lake for perch. Just had a bucket list. So I'm like, Trevor, you catch 50-inch northern pike and 50-pound lake trout, and you want to go perch fishing? Oh, yeah.
And a crappie. He needs to catch a crappie real bad.
Yeah, still hasn't caught a crappie in his life.
Yeah, we suck. We're terrible guys.
I know. We took him to Devil's Lake, did really well, fished out of a SnoBear at Haybale Heights back in 2018. Did really well. Ever since then, Dan, we've been trying to get Trevor on a crappie. We've taken him to local lakes around us, which generally are fairly decent for crappie fishing. Garbage.
Yeah, we didn't catch anything that trip.
We took him to the St. Croix to sturgeon fish, Trevor and Barry, and they did catch one sturgeon, but it was a pretty tough bite. And they caught a couple perch there, actually, on a sturgeon rig. So you're literally using a 2x4, to catch
well,
sturgeon.
you're used to that.
Yeah, and real heavy gear, big old, gobs of crawlers laying down on the bottom, and here we're catching, 11-inch perch or something. It's kind of wild. Barry did catch a sturgeon, and thank you, Darren, for taking us out. But it was a tough night. I think the next night they caught like 6 or 8 sturgeon or something like that. Just crushed. It's the curse of the Saskatchewan boys, I think.
Camera.
Took them out. What's been the hottest bite for perch lately?
Mille Lacs.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Were you eating, or what was going on over there?
No, I was waiting to see if David was going to participate.
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
Was trying to figure out if this was a rhetorical question or if you were asking us, or if this was like
there'll be a quiz later.
If this was like Dora the Explorer, where you're asking the audience and waiting for the audience to reply.
I need to take notes.
You can't use your notes on the quiz.
I was like, we're gonna crush. We'll go to Mille Lacs. They're just gonna fish for a couple of hours. So they just had a couple hours to stop in Mille Lacs before they continued to drive home. Stopped, jumped in a house up there, and actually marked a lot of fish. He missed one fish, and then they had to leave. Didn't catch any. But to be fair, they were in one place, only had a few hours. But it was the beginning of the storm that hit. So it was blowing like crazy. It was below zero. It was miserable. I think the whole lake was just turned off a little bit. So, yeah, it's been a tough one for him. But
yeah, well, it's just their sign, like we talked about with Matt Bliss last week. Canadians are welcome to come fish Minnesota lakes, but it's not like we necessarily want that. They've got plenty of lakes and great fishing up there.
Yeah, they don't need to come here unless they want to catch small fish.
Yeah, right. Do you want to catch a panfish for
so tired
reason?
of catching big fish.
Yeah, let's go catch a crappie or something.
Yeah,
there's plenty of crappies in Canada. Just not in Saskatchewan, apparently.
Maybe down south, maybe they got a couple lakes.
Yeah.
But
well, I know, like Ryland. Remember Ryland? Guide.
I remember him. Yep.
Well, your memory's garbage, by the way, so you might forget Ryland. But he won that fish donkey contest that Uncut Angling put on, and he messaged me right before Christmas, and he's like, "Hey, how far away are you from Regina? And, you're on a crappie bite or a bluegill
14
bite?
hours.
Yeah, like he wanted to come down. Wanted to come down here to drive 14 hours to come down here to catch a crappie and a bluegill. Like, you are nuts.
It's desperate.
And we don't even have safe ice yet.
Yeah.
So
this is the same guy, David, that caught. How many did he catch? Like 70 pike over 40 inches
40.
one winter.
Yeah. Next to a sunken SUV.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. And he wanted to drive to Minnesota to catch bluegill.
Crazy.
So, but I think, the biggest problem is it's usually February, and we all know what ice fishing in February is like in Minnesota.
This is the worst month of the year.
Yeah, it's garbage.
For life. I'm so glad it's the shortest because February sucks. Like, if I did a power ranking of 12 months of the year, February would be 12.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of good bites that don't get good until the end of February, though.
I mean, there's obviously exceptions, and there's locations and hot bites that can happen. But I mean, this perch thing. I mean, we crushed at Lake of the Woods. Obviously, Mille Lacs had some good perch fishing. I just saw a post from Haybale Heights on Instagram where they got a table full of perch. So obviously, there's places you can go and still have a pretty good bite. But I mean, even you guys fished yesterday locally in areas where there'd been a hot perch bite.
Allegedly.
Supposedly.
Because it was tough for you guys.
Yeah. We caught a few fish. They're nice. They're big. But, yeah, it wasn't anything like I don't really have a burning desire to go back.
No.
So, I don't know. I'd rather go fish walleyes at this point. Mm-hmm. But
how are you fishing?
With lines, rods, and in an 8-inch hole.
That's your first mistake.
Jigs.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, we had wax worms or spikes and tungstens. I was using a buckshot. I was using a coffin spoon. Put on I think it was a Tingler spoon or one of them flutter spoon daily whoppers. I don't remember. I just started reaching in the tackle box. And because usually for us, our perch bite's such a tungsten bite. That's kind of what we've gotten used to. And these fish right away were aggressive. I caught my perch on a big old buckshot. So that's kind of fun. It's a little different.
Like a minnow head with it, too?
No, wax worms.
Or waxes.
None of us decided to bring minnows for some reason.
I didn't even bring bait. I was just going to fish plastics and then...
How'd that go for you?
Not well.
Yeah.
Had a couple fish look at it and swim away.
So you guys started off bouncing around, popping holes and running live scopes, right? Were you finding schools of fish?
No. It was, you'd set up and just a random fish or two at the most was all I ever saw.
We did a lot of panning in hole hopping without even ever fishing, and you never even saw them. It was kind of weird. It was almost like live scope doesn't just magically find fish for you. Or something like that. But yeah, you'd almost just have to sit there and fish for half an hour, and then they'd roll through. You'd hopefully catch one, and then that'd kind of be it for a little bit. And yeah, it wasn't great. Then we stopped bouncing around. We set the house up. I think David just got lonely sitting in his truck by himself.
It was cold.
He wanted to set the house up and talk about the hot topic of the day.
Who knows?
Do I know what the hot topic of the day was?
You sure do.
Oh, boy. One we're not going to talk about on the show?
You bet.
Oh, man. Well, and that's going to lead us to our next topic.
Oh, no.
That we got to take a quick break, but then we're going to talk about the spring snow goose guiding season.
Oh, yeah.
Because, my gosh.
Hey, we paid off our tease of talking about things.
We paid it off?
Yeah, we teased the last segment saying we're going to come back and talk about things. We did that.
We did. We did talk about things.
We did cover it.
Yeah.
Perching.
Things.
About perching.
I just wanted to clear that up in case anyone was doubting us and wanted their money back for listening to this show.
People ask for their money back all the time. It's a good thing it's free.
That used to be remember when we'd sell magazines? That was we were trying to give away free copies of it.
Oh, yeah.
And that was your line. If you don't like it, you get your money back. Because it was free.
Because it was free.
And nobody laughed.
I thought it was hilarious.
You gave a lot away.
Great. Just take it. Just take the magazine, please.
Use it as a fire starter for all I really care. I mean, don't, but
just take it.
Magazines.
We don't want to bring them home.
Are a tough sale these days. Holy smokes.
There's a reason it's not Minnesota Sporting Journal. It's Sporting Journal Radio.
That's right. Little history lesson for you. This did start off as a magazine.
Thanks, Matt Soberg.
Yeah, we built this radio show to support the magazine back in the day, and now it's just a radio show.
One lasted, the other did not.
Yeah. It's a good magazine, too.
Great magazine.
Matt did a great job with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right on the show.
Yeah. So I'm a radio guy, so I was way better speaking than I was writing anyway.
Yeah, we always joke. Actually, my mom and I joked about that when you were writing that we should just get... That was back when you had to order the voice-to-text programs. That we should just get you that so you could just basically do a podcast and they would transcribe it.
And then she could clean it up for me?
Yeah, well, we'd sit down and do some free labor for you.
That's a beautiful thing about hiring family to help with the magazine.
Yeah, I think you owe her a sweatshirt still, by the way.
That was also free.
The sweatshirt?
No,
I think you owe her a sweatshirt.
Oh, I probably do. Oh, I do. I definitely still do.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to talk
squared
away.
Spring snow goose, and we'll have a Lake of the Woods fishing report coming up on Sporting Journal Radio. It doesn't get much better than fresh perch and fresh walleye. If you're looking for an exciting winter fishing destination, come to Devils Lake, North Dakota. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort is on the ice with a fleet of SnoBears, keeping you mobile and warm so you can stay on the roaming schools of fish. Haybale Heights on the east end of Devils Lake has knowledgeable guides, comfortable cabins, and their own lake access, making your trip as successful and stress-free as possible. To book your trip, go to haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal wind for each stand, tracks, and much more. all at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. All right, this is Sporting Journal Radio. Thanks for watching or listening wherever you're at. Dan Amundsen, David Eckhart with us right here. What's up, fellas?
Hey, once again.
Hey.
Whoa. We're going to talk about some things.
Dan,
Yeah.
so you got one Al Claire out of your ear. I want to mention Al Claire's real quick because I don't know if you guys have been seeing them, but I get Al Claire ads all the time now on Facebook. I mean, they've been obviously doing a lot of...
Everybody's using them these days. It's awesome.
They're great. And
I could name a bunch of people. I saw... not Fox Sports, not Bally. It's FanDuel Sports Network. Some of their pre and post game hosts are using Al Claire's.
Oh yeah,
I think Marnie Gellner is using Al Claire actually. So they're making their own
national treasure.
They're making their owns.
That's right. They're great, and protecting your hearing is very, very important. And I thought it was cool, Dan. We filmed some stuff up at Kodiak Island for Al Claire, and we get to see you shooting a harlequin rolling around on Facebook. I saw it again this morning.
Yeah, can't wait to go back. Yeah, but no, that was cool, and I talked about it on that trip, just how important it was to have good hearing protection that you could actually still hear, because we were shooting new ducks to us, scoters and harlequins and Barrow's goldeneye, and you had specific limits as an Alaska non-resident for those sea ducks. You could only shoot 4 a season, so we were really being really, really picky.
Yeah.
So it was important because they'd have distinct sounds that, their calls that they'd make, and their wings were making different sounds. You could tell a scoter from a goldeneye and a harlequin from a this and that. So it's just important to hear so you understood what was flying into your decoys before it was on top of you and gone, because those ducks are quick. And it was important for that, and it's important for like spring snow goose hunters with that coming up when you're shooting, if you're David, when you're shooting a half a box of shells at every single volley, your ears take a beating real fast.
My gosh. So I got a bunch of guys on Snapchat that are down guiding snows right now, and I think Ramy Denzela, I think it was his snap that I watched, and it was just big spin, birds landing, just like feet down,
dream.
Then of course the phone drops, and you hear the guns go off like
Sounds
typical.
like popcorn.
And it was crazy, and then the gunshots just kept going, it was nutty, and it makes me miss, David, we guided snows in the spring with our buddy Tony, and the one year I spent 45 days straight on the road, which some of those old snow goose guides will be like that. that's it, but for a lot of people, that's a long time to be living out of a hotel or a trailer or a truck. There's, I slept in the truck, slept in enclosed trailers, slept in hotels. There's a couple stretches there where we had one hotel room for 2 weeks straight.
Three, I think.
Without cleaning.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that building, they just lit it on fire. It is no longer existing. Excuse you.
Thank you. It was fun. It was brutal. There was cold days, there was hot days. There's pictures floating around of me picking up decoys in my boxer shorts, because it would be 90 degrees. But you'd sit out there, because that time of year, the days start to get real long. And when you can hunt from a half hour before till a half hour after,
it's a long day.
That is a long day, man. The snow goose guy, everybody wants to be a waterfowl guide, and everybody wants to do the snow goose thing, but man, no.
Alex Trebek does not.
No, it is some of the best times and some of the worst times, and people think they're going to go, clients show up, think they're going to shoot 150 birds or something like that. And, I've got a couple other guys that are on Snapchat right now that are scratching out 10 or 11 down in Arkansas. And I'm like, hey, dude, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cash in a check.
If you break 10 birds, that's a good day.
I think my buddy described it best one year. It was muddy and it was hot. For spring snow goose, you're hunting in 60s and 70s, and you got a pile of dead birds you got to clean
right away,
muddy, and he summed it up as, I'm only happy when I'm miserable. Well, that pretty much describes snow goose hunting.
Yeah, pretty much.
It makes you, after what we did and what the three of us have all done in the fall, makes me really not really care to go spring snow goose hunting again.
Right.
When we were, spanking them in Canada with Hey Dudes on and t-shirts in a dry barley field, man, I don't know why I'd really want to go roll around in the mud. And I don't know, is it even going to continue? Maybe we should, because seasons might be rolling to an end.
Right.
That's a question right now. They stopped it in Texas, I guess, because the birds stopped going there. So it was anonymous rumors on Facebook, of course, so take that for what it's worth. But they were talking about, somebody was bringing up maybe Nebraska will end it. But you've been hearing about that. There was some sort of speaker, biologist or something in South Dakota last year that was talking about maybe ending the conservation season overall. Do we still need it? And what effect has that conservation season had? Has it put a dent in the population? Potentially. Has it made them harder to hunt? 100%. Those birds get shot at for 75% of their lifetimes, and some of those snow geese are 30 years old. So think about that. If you were 30 and you'd been shot at for
9
20
months out of the year.
Yeah, whatever
like
30 divided by 4 is,
living in Chicago.
It's crazy. And but the thing that I'm starting to think more about is what effect has that had on other waterfowl. When those mallard hunters down in Arkansas get mad because Tony Vandemore is short-stopping them, or whoever, the management on waterfowl is short-stopping these birds, the migration patterns have changed. Ducks and geese, mallards specifically, are staying in Canada longer. I mean, we're not even seeing them till the season's almost over here in Minnesota, particularly down in the southern half of the state. So is it weather? Is it wet, dry conditions? Is it hunting pressure that's affecting? And it's probably all of the above. But when you're shooting at snow geese for that along the Central or Mississippi Flyway, you're putting a lot of lead in the air, but that's only some hunters. Like those 4 guys that just got busted. Where were they shooting? I remember. Anyway, side story there. Some 4 guys just got busted shooting. They had like 4 times the limit of like pintails and gadwall, I think, or something like that. And they were all shooting lead. Only 3 of them had licenses. I think it was in Texas or Louisiana or somewhere down south. Anyway, what effect is all that hunting pressure having on even the non-target birds during the spring? Because we've all sat in spring snow goose spreads and had darks, whether it be Canada's, big ones, little ones, or specks walking through the decoys. Some of them are getting shot as part of big volleys for snow geese. You got pintails that are getting whacked during snow goose jumps. Even if they're not getting shot, if they're around that gunfire, they're getting pressured. Ducks and geese migrate a lot through imprints and landmarks in water bodies and riverways. They understand if they get shot at or harassed too much in one area, they're going to start going somewhere else.
Right.
That's just the way it works. So is that spring snow goose season having an effect on migration routes? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Go back and forth on that, because there's not really a safe haven for a snow goose in this world anymore. They're getting hunted from Louisiana to Arkansas to Minnesota to North Dakota, South Dakota, all the way up to the Arctic Circle. I mean, we've all watched the videos of the guys laying in a white sweatshirt up on the Arctic, just mouth calling. Yeah, it looks way cool. But they're not. There really isn't a safe haven. They're getting hunted all across the country. So even if they shift west or shift east, they're still going to get hunted. And I guess they don't necessarily know that, but I don't know. What do you think, David?
I don't know. They get shot at a lot. I think they're only safe in the summer when they're nesting. And even then, they're breaking eggs and
right. Well, the whole idea is to knock down their population because they're destroying the tundra. So I don't think it's a problem. I guess my point in all this is like the spring conservation season was meant just to drop those numbers, and bird flu is probably having a better effect than hunters are because they're knocking numbers down. So I'd be curious to know what a population estimate on the mid-continent snow goose population is right now, just to see if numbers are going down. Is it time to end the spring conservation season on them?
We should get our snow goose biologist friend VJ back on the show.
We could do that, or Robert Rockwell, or one of those guys.
Because we kind of learned that they were forming new colonies over in Alaska. So even if they're
moving around,
they're wrecking their habitat in Canada, they're going to move around to Alaska and Russia or wherever. There's snows everywhere.
They're very resilient birds. Comment below if you think the spring snow goose season should continue or should come to an end. I guarantee you everyone's going to say, let's keep doing it. I love it. It's so much fun. And I'll tell you what, David, and you know some of this, and Dan, you've seen some of it through social media, but the one thing, if they end the spring snow goose season, the one thing that I'll miss watching from afar, now that I'm not a part of it, because when you're in it, it's constant drama.
Oh,
but when you're not in it and you just watch it, particularly a handful of people on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, and the way they just like bicker with each other and It's like reality TV sometimes.
It is funny to watch.
Just like train wrecks.
You could actually make a reality TV show out of it, and it might be hilarious.
It's been discussed.
Or it'd be incredibly annoying.
Well, it would be hilarious, but I think some of those people would be impossible to actually corral into an actual show. Like, they just need to have the camera on themselves and run it themselves. That's I think Snapchat is the only way that would work. Because if you try to make a TV show and put these guys on TV, put microphones on them and stuff like that, they're going to end up punching in the face. Like some of these guys they wouldn't be able to do it.
There's some unhinged members of the waterfowling community.
Makes it fun to watch.
It makes it fun to watch.
It makes from the outside.
Makes me decide I should just go fishing in the spring. Have your fun. I'll wait till fall. When you guys are too tired of slogging through, and when people only want to use e-collars and unplug their shotguns, I'll happily take 3 shells and a DRC no-deck snow call and go have all my fun.
Mm-hmm. What's funny about that is those guys, it may be a gong show to like book a hunt with them or whatever, but the guys that book hunts with them probably don't even care about shooting geese. They just want to hunt with that guy. The entertainment value of it.
And the other thing, though, to be fair, a lot of them do still shoot a bunch of geese.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them.
But you're only seeing, like, there's
you only see the good side.
That's just it. You're only seeing, these guys are out there every day, all day for whatever, 30 days, if they're not moving, whatever it may be. But you're only seeing the big shoots.
Right.
You're missing the shutouts and the
honestly, it's good marketing. A lot of people talk about them.
Yeah, like us.
Yeah, here we are.
You're right.
You're welcome.
All right.
We'll send you a bill later.
That's enough of that then. Joe Henry with the Lake of the Woods Fishing Report is next on Sporting Journal Radio.
Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world, is calling out to you. From the Northwest Angle to the South Shore and Rainy River, this is the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleyes, sauger, perch, northern pike, and eelpout. The fishing on Lake of the Woods is like a world of its own. Experience the most amazing fishing through one of the many full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper fish house options. For more information, go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
All right, we're back. Sporting Journal Radio. This segment is brought to you by the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic at Canterbury Park in Shakopee, March 14, 15, and 16. Daniel Schmidt from Deer and Deer Hunting will be there. Don and Candy Kiske of Realtree, Whitetail Freaks, and of course Melissa Bachman will be back with. She's with Winchester's Deadly Passion. You can get your antlers scored with Minnesota official measurers. Find out more at mndeerclassic.com. I'll be out there as well. Keep listening for all the details right here. Now we're going to go up to Lake of the Woods to check in with Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism. Joe, how's it going?
Hello, Bret. I'm doing well, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been telling everybody about, I keep hearing from everybody that saw the pictures from our trip to the Northwest Angle with all those perch up there, and then I've been hearing stories about other guys catching perch at Lake of the Woods. It's definitely been a good year for perch, it seems like this year, Joe.
And here I thought we were just that good.
Yeah. I think it was a good hatch, as they say.
I'll tell you what, there have been a lot of perch being caught, a ton. And, it's funny because, a lot of times when you go walleye and sauger fishing on Lake of the Woods, you might catch a big jumbo here and a big jumbo there, but you don't usually catch 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 perch in a day. And it's been happening more and more this year. Just a good population of them. And, populations of fish ebb and flow. That's kind of a healthy indicator, really. The DNR tells me that, and right now the big perch are up. So obviously people are catching them all around the lake. We got ours at the angle, but they're certainly catching them on the basin as well, which is Big Traverse Bay. And they call, perch we got ours on the edge of rock into the deep mud, and they were eating those larvae coming out of the mud. Remember, they're burping those up. Mm-hmm. They're kind of spread out across the lake. So it's kind of fun. Again, it's one of the bonuses to going to Lake of the Woods. It's kind of cool too. I'll talk about that glacial SnoBear tournament was just up to Cyrus's, Flag Island Resort up in the Northwest Angle. And it was kind of cool because, they got nice walleyes. They got a whole bunch of big jumbo perch. And then somebody also caught a whitefish that was just a few inches off the Minnesota state record. It was a big whitefish. So that was kind of a neat deal too. And as we say, Brent, we've said it before, we'll say it again. You never know what you're going to get when you set the hook on Lake of the Woods. It could be anything.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of different fish, and even on the south end, I guess in my brain I've always thought of a bigger variety of fish up at the angle, just because, it's kind of a different part of the. It's almost like fishing a different lake in a sense. It's kind of a different area, some different structure here and there, but really, anytime over the years fishing the south end. Yeah, you'll catch a tulipy or a whitefish. You'll catch the odd burbot. You'll catch the odd perch now and again. You'll see pike. And then, of course, we've heard stories in recent years about, a lake trout or a muskie even being caught down there. So you just never know.
I talked to Paul Arneson of Arneson's Rocky Point this week, and they've had a few lake trout already this year caught.
Oh, really?
Out of their houses. Oh, yeah, yep. And the thing about it is that those lake trout typically are way up in Ontario and the deeper parts of the lake up there, way up. But when we get consistent 30, 31 degree temperature of water under the ice, that allows those fish to roam a little bit more, and they swim, and obviously they swim a long ways. And we get those lake trout. Remember last year we had a young lady from a teenager from Wisconsin catch a huge muskie out of Zipple Bay, and so I mean, again, you just never know. And certainly, you set the hook and you catch a monster pike when you're fishing for walleyes, or you catch a huge sturgeon. That's kind of common, I guess. We've had some huge eel pout this year, Bret. I mean, really, really big eel pout coming through as well, and. You might remember that the last couple of state record eel pout have come from Lake of the Woods. In fact, the most recent is about 19 and a half pounds. So I got a feeling there's a bigger one in the lake.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's going on up there right now? I know we've gotten some snow further north. We've kind of driven around the state recently, and further north in the state, there's obviously a little bit more snow. There's a few more inches, particularly up in the northeast, that came last week. But some cold temps that definitely made some ice. What's going on up at Lake of the Woods right now?
Yeah, well, we got great ice. So I always preface what I say. It's a huge lake, and we have varying ice conditions based on where you go on the lake. But I mean. Right now, where a lot of the roads are going, there's about 2.5 feet of ice. They're allowing more than 1 tons, pulling more than a 28-foot wheelhouse in many cases. Again, check with each individual ice road operator to know what their rules are. But primarily, the bottom line is if you travel on an ice road that's marked and staked, and you touch base on what the rules are ahead of time as far as like weight limits and stuff. If you stick to that road and then get out to your fishing grounds and then, of course, branch off once you get out there, you're going to be in good shape. Where people get in trouble is, when they're going off on their own. Driving over a crack, driving over an ice upheaval, any of that stuff will get you in trouble. I mean, that's where you can drop a front end or whatever. If you stay to the marked trails that the ice guides and the resorts are checking daily, you're going to be just fine. As far as fishing goes, fishing's been really good still. I mean, here we are into February, and you know what? We got some resorts that are adjacent to structure still jumping. They're playing that game. Sometimes they go up on the structure, sometimes the edge, sometimes they hit the mud on the edge of that structure, or maybe even go a little ways out in the mud away from the structure. But they'll do that, and then of course the resorts that are up just off that south end where there isn't the structure, they're way out in that deep mud, and they're catching roaming schools of walleyes and saugers and perch out in that deep mud, feeding on emerald shiners, tulipes, perch minnows, perch, bloodworms out of the mud, larvae out of the mud. I mean, there's just a plethora of food out there, and they set up where those fish are living, and then you just anchor, you hunker down in that fish house, and then you just fish, and those fish will come through in different waves. We always say up at Lake of the Woods, put in a whole day of fishing. Don't try to time it. Don't think, oh, hey, yesterday we got them in the morning. If we just fished the morning, we should get, every day is different. If you just go and enjoy the days aren't long anyway. I mean, it's winter. Yeah. So if you just enjoy a full day of fishing and just kind of keep on the ball, by the end of the day, normally your bucket's going to look pretty good. Yeah, some days you get bigger fish than others. Some days you get more fish than others. But you're going to catch fish up at Lake of the Woods typically. Just got to be fishing for them. Use that 1-2 punch of a jigging line and a dead stick. Use electronics. You do the basics like that, and you're going to have some good memories.
Well, a couple of things coming up, Joe, that we want to start talking about a little bit, and that's the 4th annual SJR Rainy River 500. And inside radio here. I'm updating the website right now, the Sporting Journal Radio website, to reflect the dates for this year.
Glad you're paying attention to the show.
Yeah.
working on a website right now.
Well,
appreciate it.
Well, I keep getting messages and texts and, hey, when are the dates? And I'm like, I put them on the website. They're on there. Well, I just realized that I put April 8th and 9th, 2024. So the dates were correct. The year was wrong. So I'm sure people weren't quite sure. So I updated it.
You know what that reminds me of? You know what the best thing about ADD is?
What are we talking about?
How are the wild doing?
Yeah, exactly. So I updated the page and I just looked at it, and it's the Ford annual SJR rating. So not the third, but the Ford.
How about it's the Toyota annual?
So yeah, so it's 4RD. So I got to change it to the fourth annual SJR Rainy River 500.
We need help.
That is coming up April 8th and 9th. So for those of you wondering when it's going to be again in 26, it's the last Tuesday and Wednesday before April 14th when the walleye season closes. Because, of course, Joe, you've got the extended season up there at Lake of the Woods and then the Rainy River as well. Yeah,
so people don't realize this, and I'll tell you how we get in trouble with it. I say get in trouble, meaning people don't understand it. A lot of the metro media outlets will talk about, hey, ice fishing ends at the end of February, and they'll show people pulling their fish houses off and stuff. And of course, down in the metro area or southern Minnesota maybe, and other parts of the Midwest, you start getting out in shorelines. Heck, up at Lake of the Woods, it's a whole other world, man. I mean, we're allowed, because it's border water with Canada, we're allowed to keep our fish houses on the ice overnight through March 31st. That gives us a whole extra month. Our walleye and sauger seasons open through April 14th. Our pike season never closes, and our jumbo perch season never closes. Our eel pout season is open as well. So, I mean, if you want to come up and get a whole another month of fishing in, March could be an incredible month of ice fishing. In addition to targeting walleyes and saugers, that's the month that people really love targeting pike with tip-ups, because those fish are putting on the feed bag. Pike normally don't school, but they do get congregated adjacent to the spawning areas. They call it pre-spawn, and it can be some of the best pike fishing you've ever had in your life. There's a real good chance to catch a fish of a lifetime. Danny's showing on the screen now one that was caught just this last week while walleye fishing, I think. But there are a lot of big pike in the system, and March is a great month to target them.
Yeah, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to get up there. Late season is great, and of course, the Rainy River in April is such a tradition for so many people, and it's always a watch to see as the accesses open up, and it's a daily waiting game. And I think last year everything was pretty much wide open for our tournament last year, and we actually fished out.
And I will say this too, Bret. For people that are kind of listening in, if you're thinking about going up spring fishing, on the Rainy River, open water fishing anyway, that tournament is not real expensive at all. How much does it cost to get in?
$40.
$40 for a team, right? No, per person.
Per person.
And then,
yep.
And then you can just fish with 2 in a boat, 3 in a boat, 4 in a boat, whatever, right?
As many as you can fit in, as many as your boat will hold without sinking.
Coast Guard approved. Coast Guard rated.
There you go.
Coast Guard rated.
But I mean, it's a very enjoyable tournament. It's 2 days on the water, and yes, it's competitive for some. I'm always competitive when I'm fishing, but it's much more camaraderie, enjoyment. Some people are fishing sturgeon, some people are going after walleyes, some people do both, and it's just a nice time. And if you haven't joined it, I can tell you this: you'd certainly be welcomed. It's a very welcoming group up there. I would say, and jump in.
Yeah, and we pay back 50%, and then we pay back 25%. We donate 25% of proceeds to keep it clean. So you're not just having the chance to win some prizes and some cash. It's a good time, and you're doing your part to help keep Lake of the Woods clean and healthy for generations to come. So we base out of Riverbend. We have a great time. I mean, it's one of the things I look forward to the most each year. It's just so much fun up there, and that'll be coming up April 8th and 9th on the Rainy River. So make plans for that. It's a Tuesday and Wednesday, and people are like, well, why do you do it during the week? And there's a couple of reasons for it. And one, it's nice because it's a little less pressure on the river too during the week. The weekends get kind of busy, and if you want to bring a bike and ride it, from where you park, you certainly can, but you don't. And sometimes you have to do that during the week too. Some people, Joe, it's interesting. Some people just take that week off. They're like, all right, it's Rainy River time. I'll see you later. Turning my phone off and going fishing.
People might ask, why would you go to the Rainy River in the spring? I mean, part of the river is going to be iced up still, and this, that, and everything else. I'll tell you why. Number one, it's tradition. Number two, it's the first time many people splash their boat for the whole year. It's one of the few places in the Midwest you can go, in Minnesota, I should say, that you can go walleye fishing in April. I think the other thing is you got an opportunity, a legitimate opportunity to catch a walleye of a lifetime. If you hit it right, you could catch a bunch of walleyes of a lifetime in the same sitting. I think the other thing that's kind of cool is the sturgeon, and whether you're walleye fishing, sturgeon fishing, there's a good chance you could hook a sturgeon. We've hooked them many times walleye fishing, so it's just, and then in this case, it's just a good crowd of people. But if you haven't done it, it's a fun deal, and it's just fishing. It's a small river, there's some current, but it's nothing that a nice 16-foot boat can't handle or whatever. And we've seen 14-foot boats out there before, and of course you got to be careful, safety first, but it's just fishing, and it's fun. It's great.
So if you want to see a video of what it looks like, go to sportingjournalradio.com and click on SJR 500 at the top of the page there. We've got a couple videos from the last few years up there so you can see just what that tournament's all about. And speaking of videos, Joe, next Sunday night is the premiere of the new season of Prairie Sportsman. And to kick it off, it's the Warrior Walleye Shootout on Lake of the Woods with Warrior Boats and Ken Anderson and all that. We've got that story coming up next Sunday night on Prairie Sportsman.
That's going to be an awesome story. And of course, Warrior Boats is coming again this August to Lake of the Woods. I'm happy to announce. And what a great group of people. That's there again. That's a very competitive. It's competitive in some ways. But in talking to Kent this week, it's also the camaraderie, and that's why there's so many boats in it. Is because it's like a big family. Everybody's got Warrior boats. Some boats are really old. Some are brand new. Some are bigger. Some are smaller. But everybody comes together, part of that Warrior family. That's based out of Wigwam Resort, but of course you can stay anywhere, up there at Lake of the Woods or on the Rainy River, and it's a fun tournament. A lot of people will take the whole week off to pre-fish and just enjoy Lake of the Woods and hope they're dialed in by that Saturday of the tournament.
Yeah, they had a huge bag last year. They caught some real nice fish last year in that tournament.
There's some good anglers that run Warrior boats. Now, when I see a Warrior boat, there's a good chance there's some good anglers in that boat.
Hey, you're going to be in St. Cloud, too, coming up?
Yeah, this weekend is the St. Cloud Sportsman Show, and I'm going to have a booth with Lake of the Woods Tourism. Of course, going to be providing visitor guides. We can sign people up for a trip. We got giving away a free trip up to Oak Island Resort. Alvar Layton is putting up a free trip, real nice trip. I mean, it's like a 1-week trip for 4 people up on Oak Island Resort. And so I'll be giving information about Lake of the Woods. We'll be talking fishing, anything I can help you with, Lake of the Woods related or even just fishing related. Really happy to do it. But St. Cloud's a really nice show. Parking's easy, and it's at that River's Edge Convention Center right on the river there in downtown St. Cloud. Really a nice show that Snako puts on.
Well, and I should mention real quick, that Prairie Sportsman episode is the 15th, right, Dan? So when I said next Sunday.
Yeah, not so watch the Super Bowl this weekend and then watch Prairie Sportsman the following Sunday.
Yeah, so depending on when you're watching or seeing this, it'll be February 15th.
Good timing on your part, not competing with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we used to in the past. And
sometimes we're smart.
We said, let's just push her back just a little bit. Not that I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. Well, I probably will.
I think it'll be the 16th, February 16th.
Oh, correct. Yeah, 15th is Saturday. Yep. My bad. February 16th. Okay, now that we have that cleared up.
Dates are hard for you, apparently, Brett.
Man, it's been one of
Update
those.
the website. Let's go back to that. We'll find someone else to host the radio
Danny,
show.
that's why
It's fine.
he has you there, man. You're there to watch his back. He's got a lot of moving pieces. He's got a lot of plates spinning in the air, Danny. And you're there to help him out.
We need help.
Lots
we
You're
both need help.
You're all about support, right, Danny?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Lots of plates, and they're all plastic because I'm probably gonna drop a couple. So anyway, Joe, if people want to go,
I got to comment, Brent. I'm sorry, Danny's mustache. Danny, that mustache is looking better than ever. Honestly,
Appreciate it every week.
I did mention your mustache. I had to show your picture to a couple of gals at the Chicagoland Fishing Show in Schaumburg, Illinois, and I said, you know what? I got a friend of mine. The guy is a single guy, and he's got this mustache, ladies, because they were thinking about coming up to Lake of the Woods to work at one of our resorts. And I said, here's what you're going to have to put up with if you come to northern Minnesota. Well, I'll tell you what, they're ready to.
Have you heard from him since?
Well, I haven't, but I hope one of our resorts has.
Well, let's find out.
Joe, we were in Chicago last week, or I was doing a show down there too, and I have a buddy that lives in downtown Chicago. We moved down there recently, so we met him up in downtown at this fancy restaurant in a real ritzy part of town. And first of all, I was with another friend of mine we came straight from the show, and he's from Canada, so he's wearing a camouflage jacket. And we had reservations for this restaurant. We walk into the restaurant, and my buddy from Chicago looks at him and goes, I'm pretty sure this is the first time camo has ever been worn in this restaurant. But we had frog legs, and they were unreal. They were so good, so delicious. And I don't know if I was just hungry or if it was kind of dark, but I didn't even notice like the little feet on them. And I put a picture on Facebook, and everyone's like, oh, the little feet, how could you do that? And I was like, I don't know, they were delicious. Like, they were very unexpected at a place like that and very tasty. So
that's fun. It's fun, when in Rome, do as the Romans, right? I mean, you know what? It's fun to eat at local places. And, I saw, too, you showed that menu, and I think steaks were about $80, weren't they?
Yeah, I think I got a filet. I think it was $65 or $66, and they were from the Gibson Steakhouse, which is apparently a famous steak place, and this restaurant is nearby them, and they just serve. They must be owned by the same people or something. They have some kind of deal, so they serve their steak. So yeah, it's not a cheap place to get food. I think the frog legs were $16, and you got 4 legs, so 2 frogs for $16. But
it's not bad.
It was good, man. The steaks
not
were
at a fancy
amazing.
restaurant like that. I mean, $16. I mean, you can pay that for an appetizer anywhere.
Yeah,
I can't hardly get a McRib for that these days.
You can't get a McRib anyway.
Well, because they don't have them apparently with the menu license.
Well, Dan, if you're eating a McRib and you see the little feet sticking out, you might want to ring it.
Yeah.
McRibbet. That's what that is.
Hey, you just gave McDonald's their new sandwich, a McRibbet.
McRibbet. That's perfect. Man. All right, Joe, I'm going to bring some frogs up to the SJR 500 at Lake of the Woods to serve, since we always seem to serve something kind of interesting up there. But if people want to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, what should they do?
Check out our website. It's lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of McRibbet LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.